welcome to Just Read It. This is a book talk show gathering of people who are interested in books. Mostly they are Pacific Northwest writers who are interested in sharing their take on some of the New York Times bestsellers. My guests today are Richard Lovett and Debbie Dodds. And so I want to welcome them. And the book we're going to discuss today is The Only Woman in the Room, which is kind of a memoir about Heddy Lamarr. But first, let's say hello to Richard. Hi, Richard.
Hello.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about your book, Neptune's Treasures. And then you just edited a book. You wanted to say something about that. Right. Go ahead.
So Neptune's Treasure, which I think you've got a picture of elsewhere, because this won't.
Yeah, we have it.
Okay. Is a science fiction novel about Floyd Ashman and his AI symbiote, Brittany, set out in the outer solar system with the best I know of what that part of the solar system is like a few hundred years in the future. And it's really about adventure and love and what it means to be human. And the other book is by Holly Height, who is an extremely good writer in the Portland area. And she, I helped her with this for 10 years and eventually edited it. And it's possibly more relevant to the readers of The Only Woman in the Room, because it's a woman writer and a girl's story. And it's about a 12-year-old girl who's a very talented runner and growing up in Eastern Oregon or Nevada. It's kind of moves around and is quite an evocative coming of age story. Very good.
Okay, that's great. Now, Debbie, nice to have you back too. And I know you're working on a new book, but what's the book that you have that's out?
Amish Guys Don't Call. It was named one of Powell's best of 2017. It was an Amazon Top 100, and It's about a girl who falls in love with a guy who is raised Amish. And it's classified as YA, but I think adults enjoy it too. I would say at least 50% of my readership are not young adults or adults. And people who are interested in finding out about the Amish community and what that's like and how it's really very unheard of to have someone who's Amish date someone who's not Amish. And this Amish young man is actually leaving the Amish community to do this. So that's also funny.
Well, and do you want to just give us a little taste of what the book is that you're working on now?
Yeah, the book that I'm working on now involves Nazis. So, yeah, a little bit of a crossover. So it's about a woman who's actually trying to atone for something too. So it has some similarities to this book. Something that she did when she was younger. She befriended a Nazi woman who came out of Germany, which many of the Nazi women did because they claimed ignorance of what the men were doing and got safe passage. So
I see. Oh, okay. And how far along are you on this, Debbie? You're almost done, halfway done?
Somewhere in a second, third draft area.
Okay. I know that goes on forever. All right. Yeah. Well, we're sort of touching on Nazis in this subject in today's book. This is The Only Woman in the Room by Marie Benedict. It was on the bestseller list. It's the story of Heddy Lamarr's, well, it's a fictionalized story based on biography of Heddy Lamarr's early years when she was living in Austria, the rise of Hitler in Germany, and her early career as an actress, and an almost forced marriage to a man named Fritz, who really makes her life miserable. But I'm not going to go any further than that because I'm making my guest do the work. Richard, do you want to give us a brief synopsis of this?
Well, it's called a thriller and a mystery and suspense, but I don't quite feel that it falls into that category. There wasn't any mystery. The base synopsis is that, as you said, she was an actress who wound up married to this clearly stalkerish bad dude who was also very rich, and eventually gets out of Austria before the Anschluss and becomes a famous actress that we all know of, and an inventor. So she did a lot of things. I don't know if you want my take on the book at this present moment.
Not yet.
So it follows her through a great long period of her career.
And up until the point where she becomes involved in an invention during World War II, right?
Yes, an invention that never went anywhere in World War II, but after her death became important. It's part of how cell phones work, basically.
Right. She had a little trouble being taken seriously.
Yeah, the basic take of the book, of course, and it comes in the title, is that she has trouble being taken seriously in anything she does, both as an actress, as an intelligent person, and all across the way. So it's a very feminist take on the underrated intelligent women and observant women.
Right. Well, okay, Debbie, pick up from there. Do you agree with Richard's point of view that it's a more feminist book than in the past that have been written about her? Or not feminist enough?
No. I agree with what he said about as a synopsis. I also agree. I didn't think it was a thriller or a mystery. It's basically historical fiction, and it's written from a first-person point of view in a diary format, which is always a little tricky because historical fiction means you're fictionalizing it, and obviously the author is imagining she knows what Heddy Lamarr was thinking, and I think that's been done to great effect. I think Joyce Carol Oates did it really well with Blonde. I think that's the name of it. It was about Marilyn Monroe. There was one about Anne Boleyn that was out recently. I've read quite a few of this genre, and I think it can be done well. I don't think I was as engaged in this one as I have been in some other ones, just because the voice to me didn't seem consistent throughout. And I know she ages. I know that she starts off young and she is more naive. But I really enjoyed the last third of the book. That's where it picked up for me. When she got to Hollywood and we started to hear about, how she was making films and how she was trying to work with the composer and work on
this invention.
On the invention and everything. Yeah. And I really wish that would have been the majority of the book, and that we would have had just a little bit at the beginning of her life in Germany, because that got very repetitious to me.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately,
it is repetitious. It's the story of a battered wife, and it's a story too often told. Richard, when you and I sort of talked preliminary, whatever that word is, I had thought that it was about what Debbie was talking about, the latter years and this invention, but you had read more into the book and you said, I don't know anything about an invention. So what do you think about Debbie's a view that maybe we could have cut off 2/3 of the book and expanded the last third?
I think that would have been very interesting, but I'm not sure it would have been that book. I agree with her. I found the most gripping parts, actually, her failed first attempt to get out.
Yes.
That was quite a nice story. And then when she actually does get out, it almost happens in flashback, or I don't remember any of the details of it. I think it was kind of a non-event. And so it is that was the part that was actually a thriller. I would have loved to know more about the invention. I think the problem with it is I'm a science writer by day job, and I think this is extremely hard to explain. How what she was doing worked. And I think it was, I don't know the author in this, but I think it was either above her pay grade as a science writer, or she thought it was over the heads of her audience. And she might have been right about that, because it's really high-tech, techie stuff. It is also really important, and it doesn't come to anything until after her death, which I think makes this story really hard to tell. I agree that writing it in the first person I found really off-putting. Because this morning I wrote down a couple of things, and I just found the prose to be like, nobody thinks of themselves that way. I've written lots of first-person short stories and novels, and I would never. I'm sorry, that sounds really. Like this right here. 9 days after my stage debut, a gibbous moon loomed over the Viennese sky, leaving dark violet shadows in its wake. It emitted enough light to illuminate the city streets, so I decided to walk the remainder of the way home. In the fashionable district, and I'm shorting it a bit. Even though the hour was late, I longed for the quiet interlude, a pause between the post-performance theater madness and the parental inundation I had been getting at home after each performance. It's like,
let me interrupt here, because Debby is down
here
laughing. So obviously you've got some sympathy, Debby. You chime in.
No, I agree. I didn't mark it, but I remember there was one point where she said, I poured myself into a dress, and I thought, I've never thought of pouring myself into a dress. It seems like a male gaze kind of thing. And it is just so odd to me. Like, who thinks of like I don't know.
Yeah. And you would, if she'd written it in the third person, she might have gotten away with it.
Right. And there were like a lot of the what I would call sexual assault scenes. I realized that at that time there were different laws and there were different customs and stuff, but we got none of the emotional and physical pain that you would go through if your husband was consistently raping you like this man. It was just like, well, he took me forcefully again, boom, and I was like, oh, that was just really disturbing to me. How many times she was like, well, he was very aggressive in the bedroom again, and I didn't want it, but he did it. And it's like, I just feel like there should have been a little bit more of a reckoning where we were in her body and we felt her emotions in those situations.
Oh yeah, I agree with you on that totally. Yeah, I forgot I was going to say something else too, but it vanished. You said it really well.
Yeah. Okay. So, but there is that. It does lay the groundwork to the way the book ends, in a way, when she was not treated as a young, beautiful bride, seriously, very observant, knew what the Nazis were doing, so did have some valuable information to share.
Yeah.
So she was observant. And then she arrives in the United States, and she's got this, comes up with this idea, this invention, and the military won't even take her seriously. I think the first time they don't even get an interview. Do you see a continuum here of theme throughout the book that ties Debby together?
Absolutely. And as I was saying, structurally, I think we could have done the first quarter of the book could have been her past, or it could have been done in flashback. I think either one of those. We do have to have the scenes of her, with him, and a little bit maybe about her parents. I don't know if we needed to know as much as we do about her relationship with her parents, but I think that that's important. I just don't think the focus, the first 2/3 should have been on it. And there is a spot that I wrote out. It's on page 284. Where she's actually presenting her piece in front of the men, and it's a half a page. And I was like, what? This is the climax of the book to me. Exactly. Is like, I want to see her doing the presentation, and it's synopsized. And I was really frustrated by that.
Yes. Yeah.
I think by that point I had given up on the book so much that that I had been that I was tired of being frustrated. I was frustrated in her efforts to get out, because what I was thinking all through this was, I'm showing my gray hair on this, anybody who's seen Sound of Music knows where this is going in Austria. And like, so let's go there and get on with it.
I agree. What a great first scene that would have been, of her trying to escape and then showing us those things in flashback too. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, okay, you guys, I think we're close to the same page on this. But I'm going to let you give your opinion. So Debbie, I'm going to start with you this time. Is this a book you would recommend for people to read?
Yes, some people. I think the way that it maybe was marketed was a little deceiving, but there are people who really enjoy historical fiction, and to me it's more the primary thrust of the book is more about a young girl growing up in Austria and how repressive and difficult it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's necessarily what you're looking for, if you're looking for like Heddy Lamarr and how she uses knowledge of Hitler against him or tried to. I don't know if it's necessarily that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe recommend.
Oh, you're weaseling up or down, Debbie. Would you put your money where your mouth is? Is this a book you would think people should buy?
For some people, I would just say that.
Okay, once a weasel, always a weasel. I understand. Yes, it certainly. Yeah. Okay, Richard. Your thoughts.
I've been known to waffle or weasel on these things, so I was laughing at that because I've said kind of the same thing on previous reviews. But on this one, to me, it's fairly cut and dry. Read Wikipedia. It's free.
Okay. So I take it that's a sort of waffly thumbs down or not?
Yeah, that's a fairly strong thumbs down.
I don't know, it's a pretty strong thumbs down. Yeah.
Well,
it's also shorter there's all kinds of, because I looked it up, I got curious about this afterward. And she has a great story, but it's not told. I found all kinds of articles on there online. So like, I'm sorry, read that. And as nonfiction, not in fictionalized form.
Well, I'm going to thumbs down with Richard too. And largely because, Debbie, you put your finger on it. For me, the book is a cheat. Most of us, of course, Heddy is near my generation, so we all know about Heddy, her film career and so forth. But here was a woman who could be beautiful, a success, but not be taken seriously by the world. And I was really interested in that part. The rest of it I sort of knew. And so I felt I chose the book because I thought, oh, great, we're going to see Heddy as she is, as a leader and a thinker. And what we got was largely abused wife, which is a story worth telling over and over again until it stops. But it wasn't what I thought the book was going to be. Well, gosh, we burned the time here, guys. Before we go, I want you to give your wonderful books that don't make these mistakes another clip. So Debbie, we'll start with you, your Amish book.
Amish guys don't call.
And I just think it's so impressive that you shot up through Amazon. I think my books are down at the million, billion, trillion. So congratulations on that. And Richard?
Wishing on My Father's Star by Holly Height. I'm actually going to go with that one first because it really is, she is a prose genius, I think. I am biased. I've worked years on this with her and I've known her for years, and a dialogue genius and a way better writer than the book we just reviewed. And then Neptune's Treasure, and this is the best thing I've ever done, but I don't know what this is.
And you won some awards, so we take your word that
Right.
that,
This one, the part of this won an award. Yes, the best of the
oh,
year.
it did win an award. I didn't know that.
Right. Well, this is a compilation of 5 novellas that ran over the course of such time. So it's a patched together novel out of the novellas. And the last one of them, I think it was the last one, won the Best of the Year award for its year.
Oh, congratulations. I didn't know that. You guys are so modest. But I want to say to the both of you, thank you for coming and spending some time with us. It's always so good to have you with. You've been with us. You're turning into pros, but it's a delight and a surprise each time. So thank you for your time. And viewers, these are good authors, so give them a chance and pick up these books, and I'm sure you'll have a good read. The other thing is we publish about every 2 months, so if you don't want to miss out on us, sign up, become a subscriber, because we don't sell names or anything like that, no advertising. Well, all right, I want to thank again my 2 wonderful guests, Debbie Dodds and Richard Lovett, and I want to thank you, my wonderful audience, for joining us, and see you next time at Just Read It.